Hello everyone, it's me Priyanshi, and if you have seen the first part of this video, it was being about covering the book, which is Why Bharat Matter, written by S. Shankar. This is the part second of the video, where I'll be covering each chapter in depth by telling you the summary for the same. So, starting with the very first chapter, it is presenting a world view, and somehow the title of this chapter is self-explanatory. It is going to explain that how the world or the global dynamics they actually work. So it is going to give the view for that, and the subheading for the same is calculations, culture, clarity. Calculation, what is calculation? So the diplomats of every nation they do make calculation in order to make their policies, in order to take decisions that is being about. Second is culture. So by the end of this chapter, you will be getting the something about the culture and heritage of India, how it shapes the diplomacy in present day world. Third is clarity. Clarity is one of the factor which is really very important in order to determine how things are happening in the geopolitics or global world. So the chapter starts with the lines which S. Jaishankar has taken from his own book, The India Way. He has written before writing this book. So he in these lines he wants to tell that how India has to deal different nation differently. So he mentioned that this is a time for us to engage America, manage China, cultivate Europe, reassure Russia, bring Japan into play, draw neighbors in, extend the neighborhood, and expand traditional constituencies of support. So with this, he comes to the point that there has been transition of powers, or the global order is in transition. And majorly, he mentioned of three of the points which are really very important and shapes the transition of the global order. The very first point is about COVID pandemic, Ukraine conflict. Second, third is fighting in West Asia. The last two points are even relevant for the present time. However, the first point was being written contemporary to the 3 4 years from now. So, but even today we can say that COVID pandemic, the repercussion of that has been recovered up to an extent. So with this, he has first mentioned about the China factor. He has mentioned that how India need to be very calculative and it has to strategize in a way in order to deal with China. The way China is almost changing its posture now and then. So it makes India very proactive in order to determine its policy, what its decisions are going to be the next. So next he mentioned about the international relations. In international relations, he says that there are five phenomena which actually shapes the international relations. And these are globalization, rebalancing, multipolarity, impact of technology and games that nation has always played. So, what is globalization? So, globalization, I think we all must be knowing about it. So, globalization, what does it do? It does creates dependency among the nation, and if there are dependency, it means there will be interdependency. Every state, every nation will be somehow dependent to other nation for something else, for their for fulfilling their national interest. So, when there will be interdependency, it means that it will lead to rebalancing. Nobody can be at the power as hegemon. Like we have seen in the era of Cold War and post Cold War, there were the instances of bipolarity, then to unipolarity. But now, if there will be rebalancing of power, it will further lead to emerging of new centers of power. There will be not one, not two, but multiple centers of power, which means that this term is called as multipolarity in geopolitics. Third point is being about multipolarity, whereas the fourth point is being about impact of technology. Technology has been one of the most important factors that changes the day-to-day life of people, including us. So everything has been weaponized because of the result of technology. So we can consider that how important technology has become in the current scenario. The last point he has mentioned is being about the games that nation play. What are these games which nations are playing? So these games are perennial in nature is the first thing he says. So these uh, games are actually the competitions which the countries have among each other. These can be politically, militarily, or economically. So these are the games are the competition among the nation, or it is not even among the nation. It can be among the groupings as well. So like we have seen in the Cold War, NATO and that. what was US's Warsaw Pact. These were having clashes. So it can be even groupings. The fight or the clashes can be among groupings as well, or the nation themselves. So in such a way, he has mentioned the fifth point which influences the international relation. These are the perennial games. So later, next to it, he has mentioned about US. Like US has been hegemon after the Cold War, but now its influence has been decreasing. He is saying that there has been shift in power. Now it is not that much in power that it used to be. But at the same time, he is saying that we cannot underestimate or undermine the capabilities and the influence of USA. So especially he mentioned of China, that how the way or the action which USA is going to take in order to counter China becomes very important for us, for India itself. So next to it, he has mentioned about COVID. So COVID, as I have already mentioned that his writing have been majorly influenced by COVID-19 or the pandemic of COVID, because the book has been written after the COVID-19 influence. So definitely it is going to come. So he has mentioned of COVID diplomacy, that how our nation, our domestic policies have ensured the recovery from the pandemic. And later to it, he has mentioned of us joining Quad, I2U2, devising IMEC. So these are the points which I have mentioned in the preface as well. So later on, he has mentioned about G20 presidency. I'm going to tell about it in depth in the upcoming point. Further, we can consider this as a very important point, that India hosting G20 presidency was one of the major step for India's image that India portrayed during that time. Later on, he has mentioned about the measuring the advancement of the power, how we are going to measure the powers of nation. So he is saying that initially the orthodox measure of measuring the power was to see the military and the economic metrics. But now the situation has been changed. There has been multiple arenas from where we can actually measure the advancement of the power of the nations. So basically, he says that the major concern of any of the nation is first is being about economy, and secondly, if a nation will have economy, what it will seek for, it will definitely seek for national security first. Every nation will want to secure its own boundaries. So economic and national security, these are two most important features which nations always look for as a goal. Next, he says about de-risking, that the global economy is all being about risking everything. This is the principal preoccupation in present day global economy. So, and next to it, he adds the point of digital influence, that now everything is getting digitalized. So, in this world where digitalization is increasing every day, so it means that trust and transparency become very important in order to cope up with the changing trends of digitalization. Further, he uses the term decentralized world economy. Like we have heard of this word decentralization in terms of politics. Like there will be levels of the government, the power should not be concentrated at the center. But if I tell about in this context, decentralized world economy means that the economy should not be concentrated to one nation specifically. Okay, so like it is against the decentralized world economy is against the economic concentration. Okay, and later on he has mentioned about re-globalization, that now in this term of interdependency, everything is interdependent to each other. Every nation wants other nation for fulfilling its own demands. Next to it, he has mentioned about the testing of a nation, how the nations are being tested. So he says that major nations that make an impact on the world do so after defining an event. If there will be a defining event, then only we will get to know what the nation truly is. So, this event, defining event, could be a conflict, a revolution, or a major economic shift. And after this, how the country is going to come out actually tells what the nation is all being about. Then he tells about that now India is discovering like-minded nations in order to interact with, while maintaining the distinct identity of ourselves. but he has mentioned in contrast what we had earlier. Like he mentions of the earlier diplomacy, he says that our diplomacy, early diplomacy was eventually constrained, and it was being constrained by capability factor. We were not this much capable which we are today. He was saying that time we had limited progress, be it in the arena of socio-economic or technological fields. But now India has advanced to multiple front, and he has used the terms like politics, economics, demography, culture, idea that make potent combination. All these factors developed, and that has integratedly made India developed. And that, so he is saying like India is still developing nation, but that has created to the concept of new India or Bharat. So later on, he has come to how India has expanded its space, and that has led to the rise in the international profile of India. Later on, he has mentioned the mandala of his diplomacy. And if you might be knowing about Kautilya has given mandala theory. Mandala theory is the theory of foreign policy. Okay, so the foreign policy is like every nation are like concentrated circles. He has mentioned, Kautilya has mentioned that the neighbor next to our own territory is our rival, whereas next to next neighbor is our friend or ally. But in present scenario, where India follows the policy of neighborhood first policy, it tells a different scenario which India has in with India follows as for neighbors. So India's space I told you about. Next was about mandala of the Indian diplomacy that has taken a very clear form. It is India is very keen about its neighbors, so it has introduced the policy of neighborhood first policy. Later on, he has mentioned the influence of India in present day scenario, like in the COVID pandemic, how India came up with the vaccine Maitri, and strongly India has got the title of champion of the South because of what influence we have created in the global world. And next to it, he has mention of operations like Kaveri, Ganga, Devi Shakti, and Ajay. So this underlined that Indians which are abroad could count on their government during the time of difficulty. So later on, he has mentioned that India's advocacy for yoga has also increased its positioning in the global world. And then about Sri Anna. Sri Anna is millets. So he tells all these reasons are why India matters to the world. And next to it, I was telling you about G20 presidency, how it is significant. So India G20 presidency is very important because like it was the spotlight on the concerns of global South. And basically, we were able to ensure that the G20 returned to its basic mandate of promoting international growth and development, defining priorities, and devising collective solution at the other end. So, like, what are the challenges which we have faced in these times? So, basically, it is of east-west polarization and north-south divide. So, majorly G20 presidency, the major aim of which India had was to mitigate such challenges. And also, one of the significant or crucial initiative was to enable the permanent membership of African Union (AU) in G20. So in such a way, we can see that what India, current India or the present Bharat is really being about. Next to it, H. Shankar tells about his own career of being a diplomat. He tells that as being a practitioner of diplomacy, there are major two responsibility. The first is to share the thinking of the rising power of the world, and secondly, to communicate the necessity of accurately understanding global development. So, like as I have mentioned in the beginning of my video, that I'm going to tell you about how culture is also defining factor of the foreign policy of any nation. So this is the point about the same. So he has said that epics serve as an instructive way to view the happening of the period. They remain eternally relevant. So he has mentioned of two of the epic of India. The very first is Ramayana and second is Mahabharata. So he tells that Ramayana is basically about the purity of thought and nobility of conduct, whereas Mahabharata is about human frailty and pursuance of ambition, and both of them have their relevance even till today. So, in Ramayana, we have seen there was a rule based order. How goodwill is leveraged, commitments are made, coalitions are built, choices exercised, are all graphically illustrated by the narrative that has been mentioned in Ramayana. So, like there has been mention of Ram Raj in Ramayana. Ram Raj means an epitome of rule-based order, which is the current need of a prison world. Later on, he has mention of the characters of Ramayana as well. He has mention of the role of Hanuman, how he was devotee, misery, and resource person and advisor. So, but whether it is important of reliable friend, the challenging challenges of creating coalition, danger of open-ended commitment, the perils of strategic complacency, the value of effective diplomacy, or the need of informationalized warfare, there is much today's era can learn from Ramayana, he says. So, in such a way, he tells that Ramayana has some of those instances which can relate to the present world. And majorly, he's more about Ram Raj, that there should be the rule based order in order to govern the world. And secondly, Hanuman he has mentioned as ally or a supervisor or the advisor. So, being a very important person, so in such a way we can learn from these epic he is trying to say. I'm not much interested into these things, so that's why I'm not exaggerating much into this point. Later on in conclusion, he has mentioned about life is really a black and white choice, so India need to be confident of its own values and beliefs and base its policies on those convictions. He really wants that India should draw its own decision from the culture, heritage, and tradition which India has already from it. So that is the only way that will lead to the rise of new India, which is the Bharat. With this, the first chapter is done. Thank you for watching my video. Signing off, Priyanshi Samant.